The brand new movie that just hit theaters. The film's directed by Luca Guadagnino, who of course did two movies last year in Challengers and Queer. The film's written by Nora Garrett, and this is considered her first screenplay credit on a movie. The film takes place on the campus of Yale University when a college student, Maggie, played by Ayo Debris, you has a sexual assault allegation on one of her teachers, who is Hank in this movie, played by Andrew Garfield. And Maggie's mentor, who she relays information to for the first time, is the lead of the movie, Alma, played by Julia Roberts, who tries to make sure, as she also has a very close personal relationship with Hank and Maggie, who is true, how she's putting her feelings to each of the characters, and things of that sort. Michael Stuhlbarg is also in the movie as Frederick, who is Alma's wife, and Chloe Sevigny is also in a major role as Dr. Kim Sayers, the therapist for Yale University. The film is 2 hours and 18 minutes and is rated R. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new review here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max, and we're talking After the Hunt. So if you're new to the channel, guys, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, out of theater reactions. Every Monday, I break down the box office. I also do movie franchise rankings. So if you like any one of those things, this is the channel for you. Subscribe, ring the bell, comment down below. What are your thoughts on After the Hunt? Where does this rank for you in Guadagnino's filmography? Where do you see this movie being a factor in this year's awards season? Love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section down below. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So After the Hunt was a movie I was definitely intrigued by. I'm a massive fan of Luca Guadagnino and this cast, and I thought the plot was very like the concept of the movie, sexual assault allegation on a college campus, where it's three different generations on how you handle a situation like this, different genders, different races. So a lot of different things to chaw your teeth into. So that's why I was excited. And this is definitely for me one of the most unique movie theater or just movie experiences. I'll just say that movie experiences of the year, where this is not a movie that I love. This is not a movie that I hate. But this movie absolutely made me think. I saw the movie on Friday. You saw my out of theater reaction. I don't want to like postpone out of theater reactions, but I really had to sit and think over this movie before releasing my review, because usually the day of when I see a movie, I do out of theater reaction. I think about it for a couple hours, take some notes, then I do a full review. And that's just the way I've been doing it the last couple months. Now, this time around, I was thinking to myself on Friday, I was like, should I just get out a review Friday just so I can get the clicks on the day it came out? I just wasn't ready to do a review. I had to sit in the movie, think about what things were meaning, how I interpreted the movie. And I think one of the lost arts in Hollywood these days is movies or shows that make you think. I'm not talking about remembering character names, locations, if they have superpowers, any of those things. Do love movies that make you think, make you retread moments in the movie. What does that mean? What did that mean now, knowing the ending of the concept? A lot of those things. I just love when movies make me think. Now, when I say that, this is the most split down the middle movie. What I mean by that is I'm just split down the middle my thoughts on After the Hunt, like right down the middle. Let's start with the stuff I liked with the movie. This is a really well acted movie. Julia Roberts is fantastic here. It's one of her best performances of her career, probably two or three, probably in those like top two or three performances of her career. Because she, I think, represents the generation of this film that has the most complexity from the script perspective. Each generation in society are very complex. And this film, I'll talk about some negatives and how they deal with Garfield's generation, and especially Ed Berry's generation. But I thought they really handled her generation well. The idea where Julia Roberts grew up in a time where, I'm not trying to act like she's old. I'm just saying she grew up in an era where if you have all your thoughts and all these emotions, you're supposed to keep it to yourself, and you're not supposed to let everything out. And that is a key thing in Alma's marriage in the movie, with Frederick, where they barely talk about their personal lives with each other, just kind of home, have dinner, have the mutual conversations, but it's a very unique marriage. She has these very close personal relationship with students and fellow teachers at Yale, but she hides away any sign of personal things in her life to ever tell any of these people. And that's kind of the era that she grew up in. And you can really feel really beautiful restraint in Robert's performance. You don't feel distant, I don't think, from her performance. I think you feel sometimes distant from the story, but her character, you kind of understand what she's going through, why the generation that she grew up in, where it's okay to hide feelings and not express what you really feel about people and all these things. And it's a really great performance. Andrew Garfield also is fantastic here, who at times is playing a very unlikable person. Um, but he's amazing in the movie. He's just not in it enough. And I'll get to that also down the line. Michael Stuhlbarg also is excellent here. He's also always good in Guadagnino movies, especially Call Me By Your Name. As I said, him and Roberts' marriage is one of the most underrated aspects of the film that I just really enjoyed. And as I said, it is a story and a concept that does grip you. Like, I was never bored watching this movie. I was still intrigued and wanting to hear the revelations as the movie goes on. And I think from a story perspective, the best part about the story is it truly puts you in a situation where you're not sure who is telling the truth. We lived in an era where the Me Too movement and a lot of movements where if someone accused someone of sexual assault or things of that nature, people would just automatically believe the someone who's not the accuser, I guess, or the victim in this case, the alleged victim, and quickly try to cancel the person who is being alleged of such crimes. And we've kind of evolved from that now, where now we want to see the details and find, who people who are innocent until proven guilty type situations. And this movie never really lets you in on what actually happens. Up to you to interpret and for you to try to, as decisions happen throughout the film and as character traits happen, you're supposed to maybe think to yourself, did this really happen? Did, Io's character make it up? Is Garfield's character someone who would do such a thing? All of these things. I think what made it interesting was it wasn't just point blank, she was correct, she's the victim, he's a jerk, and things like that. It's a very complex way of explaining this, especially in a college campus. Now, what makes this movie utterly frustrating to me is they did such a good job showing the complexities of the generation with Alma's generation, how those people in that generation handle a situation like this. Now, this movie is trying to explore three different types of generational things, as well as race and gender. The biggest missing piece here is Hank, who is Garfield's character. He's the one being accused of sexual assault, and he is in the movie, not like barely in this movie. And I think they should have made this more of a three-hander where you understand each of the perspectives, what they're going through, things of that nature. And I kind of felt like he got put in the cliche role of the movie. Now, Garfield makes the most out of it, but there's moments where he's in the movie and then he disappears for like 35, 40 minutes. Then he comes back in for one scene, disappears for the next 30 minutes, comes back in, disappears again for 15, 20 minutes. He just disappears in such big chunks of the movie. It feels like we're missing that whole side. The male side, the fact that he's white, the fact that the way his generation goes about things. Did he cross a line? There's so many missing pieces, and he's the one being accused of this assault. Now, the other problem is with Ayo Edebiri's character. I think she's solid in the movie. It's not that she's bad in the movie, but her character is, in my opinion, the most lazy version of a Gen Z character in this movie. Now, I am not someone who's taking it as like a bias, because this movie shows the positives and the negatives of each of the generations. It's not saying Gen Z sucks and Alma's generation is great. It pokes holes and also shows the benefits of the way each of these generations look at particular situations. But her character in particular, at times, the way they explain why she does her things, why she's in the relationship with the person she's in this movie, I felt it to be very lazy and it made the character quite unlikable. And I think this version of Gen, it just felt like they put all the stereotypes of Gen Z on Maggie, and she became the least complex character in this entire movie. And she's the one who's in the movie the second most, who is accusing Hank of this issue. She has the personal mentorship relationship with Alma. She's trying to figure out who she wants to be with the rest of her life, gender wise. The fact that she comes from a very Maggie comes from such a privileged family. Does she fit in this situation? Should she be getting a pass? Should she be blindly, believed? And there's so many elements that feel very complex, but her character is so surface level. And she becomes more unlikable as the movie goes on. And that is not the point. I don't think they're trying to show point blank, this person's the villain, this person's the hero in this situation. Everyone is in the gray area in this situation. And I'm fine with that, but the character of Maggie gets more unlikable as the movie because it's so many stereotypes of Gen Z, what Gen Z do if they feel something is wrong. And I felt like it was a little bit too surface level. And it makes for such a frustrating movie experience. And sorry, it's a lot. I have a lot of thoughts on this movie. Out of Guadagnino's movies, it's probably my least favorite direction too. Not because we're not in this lavish, fancy locations like we were with like Queer, Call Me by Your Name. It just didn't have a good pace to it a lot of the time. The score from Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor I thought was solid, not great. And I thought it just didn't feel like to me a Guadagnino movie from a direction perspective. At times it felt very bland. And I think this movie could have used a lot more energy, both from like a cinematography and it also a pacing and a vibe perspective. So this is a really frustrating watch as a concept that I'm fascinated in. And I think so many people who maybe hate this movie or love this movie just put their political beliefs on the table. And if any of these characters disagree with where their values are, you're just gonna either like or hate this movie. I'm not like that, even though I have my beliefs as well. I think it's cool to learn, not cool, but really makes sense to learn about how all these different genders, races, generations handle a situation like this. Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? How do we learn from this and evolve as a society? At times, this movie feels like it's breaking down the walls and really making you think. Other times, it leaves you more frustrated. And that's my thoughts. I think it's an amazing ensemble. It's a concept that grips you. I was never bored, but so many key story elements are missing here and are quite surface level. Hank disappears in big portions of the movie, and it should have left me with a bigger punch, I think, than it actually did. So I'm going to give After the Hunt a 2.5 out of 5, a 50%. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry this is a longer review. I just had a lot of thoughts on this movie. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.